It's 2025, and for many of us, there's a constant, low-grade hum in the background of our lives. A quiet static of unease that has somehow become our default setting. It's the soundtrack of our modern world, a relentless rhythm of pressure, uncertainty, and just overwhelm. We feel it when we open our phones, a portal to a million curated lives that can make our own feel strangely inadequate. We feel it when we look at the news, a firehose of economic volatility and global instability that seems precision engineered to keep us on edge. And we really feel it in the quiet moments late at night, when the distractions fall away and the weight of our own expectations comes crashing down. This isn't just stress, it's a uniquely modern brand of anxiety. It's born from the paradox of our time. We're more connected than ever. Yet we often feel more isolated. We have access to more information than any generation in history. Yet we feel a profound lack of actual wisdom. We're surrounded by gadgets and apps that promise to make our lives easier. Yet we feel more burdened and mentally cluttered than our ancestors could have ever imagined. And let's be honest, the usual coping mechanisms aren't cutting it. Distraction, whether it's endless streaming or doom scrolling, is just a temporary anesthetic. Avoidance simply lets the anxiety fester and grow in the dark. And most self-help apps? They promise a quick fix but often just add another layer of digital noise, failing to target the root cognitive patterns that are actually causing the problem. But what if the cure isn't new at all? What if the most powerful tool for navigating the chaos of August 2025 wasn't downloaded from an app store, but was forged 2 millennia ago in the crucible of the Roman Empire? What if the solution we've been desperately searching for has been waiting patiently in the writings of emperors, slaves, and political exiles who faced plagues, wars, and betrayals with a resilience that seems almost superhuman to us? This is the promise of Stoicism. And no, this isn't some dusty, academic philosophy for a lecture hall. Think of it as a practical, life-altering operating system for the human mind, a timeless cure for our very modern anxieties. And today, we're going to install it. We'll explore the core principles of this ancient wisdom and translate them into actionable strategies you can use to build a fortress of tranquility right in the middle of this modern storm. We will learn not how to get rid of our feelings, but how to master our relationship with them. This is a journey to reclaim your mind, to find stillness in the noise, and to discover the profound peace that comes from focusing only on what truly matters. In a world spiraling with social media pressure and economic stress, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. That constant hum of anxiety has become the soundtrack to our lives in August 2025. But what if the answer isn't a new app or some quick fix, but a forgotten, 2,000-year-old mindset? We're about to explore the ancient Stoic operating system for the human mind, a timeless cure for our modern anxieties. Before we get to the cures, we need to get clear on what Stoicism actually is, and what it isn't. When we hear the word Stoic today, we usually picture someone emotionless, cold, and detached, someone who just shoves their feelings down and endures hardship with a stiff upper lip. This modern caricature has almost nothing to do with the rich, compassionate, and deeply human philosophy of ancient Stoicism. The ancient Stoics weren't robots, they were masters of human psychology. They weren't trying to extinguish emotion, they were trying to cultivate a state of rational tranquility. What they called apatheia, not apathy, but a state of mind free from the disturbance of irrational feelings. Think of it this way: your mind is a powerful computer. Right now, a lot of us are running on outdated software, a default program that's buggy, prone to crashing, and highly vulnerable to the viruses of external opinion and modern stress. Stoicism is a robust, time-tested operating system designed to run smoothly, even under immense pressure. It was developed and refined by people who lived in a world far more brutal and uncertain than ours. Its chief architects weren't ivory tower academics, but men of action. You had Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world. As emperor of Rome, he sat in his tent on the cold German frontier during a military campaign, writing in his private journal, what we now know as *meditations. He wasn't writing about battlefield tactics, he was writing about how to be a good, just, and calm person in the face of plague, war, and personal loss. He was coaching himself. using his philosophy to manage the insane pressures of his job. Then there was Seneca the Younger, a celebrated playwright, tutor to the infamous Emperor Nero, and one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He navigated deadly political intrigue, survived exile, and ultimately faced a death sentence from his own student with a composure that came directly from his philosophical practice. His letters are a goldmine of practical advice on everything from grief and friendship to anger management and the shortness of life. And then there was Epictetus. He was born a slave. His master was notoriously cruel and at one point twisted his leg until it broke, leaving him permanently lame. After gaining his freedom, Epictetus became one of the most influential Stoic teachers of his time. He taught that even though his body had been enslaved, his mind had always been free. He understood from the most brutal personal experience that the source of our power and our peace lies not in our external circumstances, but within our own minds. These men, separated by status, from an emperor to a slave, were united by a single, powerful idea: the key to a good life. A life of resilience and inner peace isn't about changing the world around us. It's about mastering the world within us. They saw philosophy not as a hobby, but as medicine for the soul. They believed that by understanding how reality works, by distinguishing what's in our control from what isn't, and by training our perceptions, we could build an inner citadel, a mental fortress that no amount of external chaos could ever breach. So as we continue, let this image guide you. We aren't just learning about a philosophy. We are upgrading your internal operating system. We're installing a series of mental modules that will let you process the inputs of modern life, the social media pings, the stressful work emails, the alarming news headlines, in a completely new way. A way that leads not to anxiety and overwhelm, but to calm, clarity, and purposeful action. Let's begin with the foundational piece of code, the core principle the entire system is built on. If there is one single idea from Stoicism that can, almost instantly, start to dissolve the foundations of your anxiety, it's this: the dichotomy of control. This is the master key. It's the central pillar of the Stoic operating system, articulated most clearly by the former slave, Epictetus. The idea is elegantly simple, but its implications are life-changing. Epictetus taught that everything in our lives can be sorted into two buckets: things that are within our complete control, and things that are not. He put it this way: some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. Let that sink in for a minute. The only things you truly command are your own mind, your judgments, your choices, your actions, your will. Everything else, literally everything else, is external and ultimately beyond your direct control. You don't control what other people think of you. You don't control the economy. You don't control the traffic. You don't control if someone loves you back. You don't control getting sick or growing old. You don't even have total command over your own body, which is subject to injury and illness without asking your permission. According to the Stoics, almost all our psychological suffering, our anxiety, frustration, anger, and disappointment, stems from one fundamental mistake: we desperately try to control the things we can't, while neglecting the one domain where we have absolute power, our own mind. Think about the specific anxieties of August 2025. Take the relentless pressure of the job market. So many of us pour our mental and emotional energy into worrying about things we can't influence. We worry if the hiring manager liked our answers. We worry about the other candidates. We worry about company politics. We refresh our email 100 times a day, as if we could will a response into existence. This is a perfect recipe for anxiety because we've staked our inner peace on an outcome that is fundamentally not up to us. The Stoic approach flips this on its head. It tells us to pull our energy back from the outcome and reinvest it entirely in our actions, the only things we truly command. You can't control if you get the job, but you can control how much research you do. You can control how meticulously you craft your resume. You can control how well you prepare for the interview. You can control the grace and professionalism you show. And you can control how you choose to learn from the experience. Whether you get the offer or not, By focusing on your effort instead of the result, you reclaim your power. Your self-worth is no longer tied to external validation, but to the internal satisfaction of knowing you did everything within your power. With excellence, the anxiety fades because you're no longer gambling your peace of mind on cards you don't even hold. Or take another classic source of modern anxiety, social media. We post a picture, a thought, and then we wait. We become slaves to the refresh button. Our mood swinging with every like and comment. We are trying to control our reputation. But as Epictetus made clear, our reputation is not in our control. The Stoic path is to focus on your actions. Did you post something you believe in? Did you share it with good intentions? Was it an honest expression of yourself? That is all that matters. The reaction is external. It's not yours to control. Peace comes from detaching your sense of self from the uncontrollable opinions of others. This principle immediately frees up a shocking amount of mental and emotional energy. It's like a filter for your worries. When a worry pops into your head, you can run this simple test. Is this something that is truly up to me? If the answer is no, your job is to practice acceptance. If the answer is yes, your job is to take thoughtful, virtuous action. Actionable step. The circles of control. To make this principle tangible, let's try a simple but powerful exercise. Grab a piece of paper or open a new note. I want you to think of something that's causing you a lot of anxiety right now. Now, draw two circles, a big one with a smaller one inside it. In the outer circle, write down every aspect of this situation that is not in your direct control. Really go for it. List the outcomes, other people's decisions, external events, their feelings, all the what ifs. If you're worried about a relationship, you might write whether they text me back, how they feel about me, what they're thinking, the future of the relationship. Now, in that inner circle, write down the parts of this same situation that are 100% within your control. This requires real honesty. It's not, I'll make them happy, but I will act with kindness and patience. It's not, I will get the promotion, but I will perform my duties to the best of my ability. It's not, I won't feel anxious, but I will notice my anxiety and choose how I respond to it. Take a look at those two circles. All of your suffering is coming from the energy you're pouring into that outer circle. Your power, your peace, and your path forward lie exclusively within that inner circle. For the next week, I challenge you to make a conscious effort, every single day, to pull your focus out of the outer circle and pour all of your attention into the inner one. This single shift is the first and most critical step in installing the Stoic operating system and calming the anxiety that comes from fighting battles you can never win. Once we've grasped the dichotomy of control and started focusing our energy where it matters, the next layer of the Stoic operating system comes online, the art of perception. If the first cure was about asterisk where we put our attention, this one is about asterisk how we interpret what we see. It's a principle most powerfully articulated by the emperor, Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." The Stoics understood a profound psychological truth. It's almost never the event itself that causes us pain or anxiety. It's our judgment, our opinion, our story about that event. Epictetus said it plainly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This is a revolutionary idea. It means the world outside of us is objectively neutral. A traffic jam is just slow-moving cars. A critical email is just words on a screen. A stock market dip is just numbers changing. These things have no inherent good or bad quality. We're the ones who add the label, the badness, the anxiety, the anger. We supply that ourselves. With our interpretation, Marcus Aurelius took this even further, offering a radical formula for resilience. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. This isn't about denial or pretending painful things don't happen. It's an active, conscious choice about how you frame the events of your life. It's the recognition that you are the final gatekeeper of your inner experience. Let's apply this to the hyper-anxious world of August 2025. Imagine a common scenario. You work for weeks on a project, and your boss gives you some critical feedback. The default, untrained reaction is often a downward spiral of negative perception. The thoughts go something like this: she thinks I did a terrible job. This is a disaster. She must think I'm incompetent. I'm probably going to get sidelined. My career is stalling. I'm a failure. Notice how a simple, objective event, a few sentences of feedback, gets magnified into a personal catastrophe, triggering a massive anxiety response. A Stoic, practicing the art of perception, would hit pause before that spiral begins. They would separate the objective fact from their subjective story. The objective fact is, my boss provided feedback on areas for improvement. That's it, that's reality. The rest, the stories about incompetence and failure, is a narrative we've added. The Stoic then consciously chooses a different, more rational story, a perception like, this is valuable data. This feedback is an opportunity to learn and get better. It shows my boss is invested enough to guide me. This isn't a threat, it's a tool for my growth. Same event, two radically different perceptions. One leads to anxiety and fear. The other leads to resilience and progress. The power is in that little space between the event and your response. And that space, the Stoics teach, is always under your control. Think of your mind as a fortress. External events, the economy, other people's opinions, the news, are like the weather raging outside. Rain, wind, storms, they can batter the walls. But they can't get in unless you, the gatekeeper, lower the drawbridge. Our anxious, panicked perceptions are us lowering the drawbridge and inviting the storm inside to flood the whole courtyard. Choosing our perception is keeping the gate firmly shut, observing the storm from the safety of the walls, and understanding that it's just weather. It will pass. This applies to everything. You get into an argument with your partner. The anxious perception. This is a sign we're incompatible. This is the beginning of the end. The Stoic perception. We have a conflict. This is a chance to practice communication, to understand each other better, and to strengthen our relationship by navigating this together. You face an unexpected bill. The anxious perception. This is a financial disaster. I'll never get ahead. The Stoic perception. This is an unexpected challenge to my budget. It's a chance to re-evaluate my spending, get more resourceful, and prove to myself that I can handle financial curveballs. Viewing challenges as opportunities isn't just a clever mind trick, it fundamentally reframes your relationship with reality. You stop seeing life as a series of threats and start seeing it as a training ground for your character. Every obstacle becomes a chance to practice a virtue, patience, courage, wisdom, justice. The world transforms from a source of anxiety into a gymnasium for the soul. Actionable step. The perception journal. To train this reframing muscle, you have to actually practice it. For 1 week, try keeping a perception journal. It's simple. Every time you feel a jolt of strong negative emotion, anxiety, anger, frustration, pause and write down 3 things. 1. The objective event. Describe what happened in the most neutral, factual language possible, like a camera recording the scene. Strip away all judgment. Not, my colleague insulted me. But, during the meeting, my colleague said, I'm not sure that's the best approach. Not, the traffic was a nightmare. But, my drive home took 20 minutes longer than usual. 2. My initial perception. Write down the automatic story you told yourself. The judgment that triggered the negative feeling. He was trying to make me look stupid. My whole evening is ruined. Be honest. This is the default program you're trying to rewrite. 3. A Stoic perception. Now, consciously choose a new perception. An alternative, more rational, or useful way of looking at the same event. He shared his honest opinion. This is a chance to defend my idea or consider a different angle. This extra time in the car is an opportunity to listen to a podcast or just practice being present. Doing this consistently, even for just a week, starts to build new neural pathways. It weakens the automatic, anxious reaction and strengthens your ability to consciously choose your experience. You start to see that your reality really is malleable, and the power to shape it has been in your hands all along. We're about to explore our third and perhaps most advanced Stoic cure. A 2-part technique for building unshakable resilience. But before we do, if you're finding this useful for navigating our crazy world, take a second to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss what's next. We're building a community here dedicated to applying ancient wisdom to modern problems. And we'd love for you to be part of it. Your support helps us make more content just like this. Thank you for that. Now, Let's get to our third cure. So, we've learned to focus on what we control and to choose our perception of events. This third cure is a powerful, two-sided coin that takes our practice to the next level. It deals with the big, scary stuff, the things we're terrified of and hope never happen. On one side of the coin, you have Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. On the other, Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. Together, they form an advanced strategy for building deep resilience and finding peace even when things get truly tough. Part 1. Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. This first part sounds pretty grim, but it's one of the most powerful anti-anxiety tools the Stoics ever came up with. Premeditatio Malorum is the practice of actively thinking about what could go wrong. No, this is not about wallowing in pessimism or making yourself anxious. It's strategic rehearsal. Think of it like a psychological vaccine. By exposing yourself to a small, controlled dose of a potential negative future, you inoculate yourself against the shock and despair if it ever actually happens. The Stoic writer Seneca put it bluntly, what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect. Rehearse them in your mind: exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. Now, we might not be facing exile or shipwreck, but we face our own modern versions: getting laid off, a big project failing, a sudden illness, a painful breakup. The anxious mind already worries about these things, but in a destructive, uncontrolled way. It just circles the drain, imagining catastrophe without a plan, which only feeds the fear. Premeditatio Malorum is the exact opposite. It's a calm, rational, and structured process. You look a potential negative outcome in the eye and ask 3 questions. 1. How could this actually happen? 2. What could I do to prevent this, focusing only on what's in my control? 3. And if it does happen, how will I handle it? How will I carry on? Let's take a common fear: bombing a crucial presentation at work. The anxious mind just says, I'm going to fail, it'll be a disaster. The Stoic practicing premeditation would sit down and actively visualize the disaster. Okay, what could go wrong? The projector could die, my mind could go blank, I could get a hostile question from the CEO. But instead of stopping there in a panic, the practice continues. Right, if the projector fails, I have my notes printed out in a PDF on my tablet as a backup. I can speak from those. If my mind goes blank, I'll have practiced so much that I can pause, take a sip of water, and look at my first slide to get back on track. If I get a hostile question, I'll remember my perception training. I will see it not as an attack, but as a chance to show grace under pressure. I'll listen, validate their concern, and answer as best I can. See the difference? The fear has been transformed. The unexpected has been made expected. Its power to shock and paralyze you has been stripped away. You've rehearsed difficulty, and in doing so, you've discovered your own ability to handle it. A great side effect of this is it also builds gratitude. When you spend a few moments thinking about losing something, your job, your health, you return to the present with a renewed appreciation for what you have right now. Part 2. Amor Fati, the love of fate. If Premeditatio Malorum is the shield, Amor Fati is the spiritual core. It's one of the most challenging and rewarding ideas in all of Stoicism. It means a love of one's fate. It's the practice of not just accepting or enduring what happens, but embracing it, loving it, seeing it as necessary. It is the final and complete release of all resistance to reality. Marcus Aurelius described it as the mindset of a fire that turns everything thrown into it into more flame and brightness. For the person practicing Amor Fati, every event, good, bad, painful, joyful, is just more fuel. It's all part of the path. It's all material to be used to forge your character. Let's use a really tough example. You're unexpectedly laid off from a job you loved. The natural reaction is panic, anger, and grief. This shouldn't have happened. This is unfair. My life is ruined. This is a state of resistance. And that resistance is the source of incredible suffering. Amor Fati doesn't ask you to be happy about being laid off. It doesn't ask you to deny your pain. It asks you to do something far more profound. It asks you to look at this new, unwelcome reality and say, this is my path now. This happened. I will not waste a single second wishing it were different. I accept it completely. And since this is my reality, I will make something of it. What can I build from these ashes? What opportunity does this forced change present? Who can I become because this happened? Not in spite of it? This mindset is the ultimate anxiety cure. Because anxiety is almost always rooted in wishing things were different than they are. Amor Fati dissolves that wish. It aligns you with the flow of reality. If you get sick, that is your path. If you face betrayal, that is your path. If you achieve success, that is your path. You stop fighting with life and you start dancing with it. You treat every single moment as if you had chosen it yourself. As Epictetus advised, do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to, rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens. Then you will be happy. Actionable step. A daily Stoic ritual. To integrate this powerful, two-sided coin into your life, try a simple daily ritual, one part for the morning, one for the evening. In the morning, Premeditatio Malorum, before you check your phone. Spend just 2 minutes thinking about your day. Ask yourself, what's one thing that could go wrong today? One challenge I might face? Maybe it's small, I might get stuck in traffic, or bigger, that client meeting could get tense. Then, briefly visualize how you'd handle it with your Stoic principles. If I'm in traffic, I'll remember it's out of my control and use the time to listen to something useful instead of fuming. This prepares you and lowers the day's potential for frustration. In the evening, Amor Fati, before bed, spend 2 minutes reflecting on the day that just passed, especially the difficult or frustrating parts. Instead of dwelling on them with regret, practice Amor Fati. Say to yourself, out loud or in a journal, that happened. It was part of my day, part of my life. I accept it fully. I embrace it as part of my path. This practice cleanses the mind of resistance, letting you end the day with acceptance and peace. This daily ritual, combining proactive preparation with radical acceptance, is a potent formula for building an unshakable core of tranquility. We've journeyed back 2,000 years to find a powerful medicine for the soul. We've seen how the anxieties of August 2025, the pressure, the uncertainty, the overwhelm, are really not so different from the challenges the ancient Romans faced. The context has changed, sure, but the internal workings of the human mind haven't. And so, the cure is as potent as ever. Let's recap the tools we've installed from this ancient operating system. First, the dichotomy of control. The master principle of focusing our energy only on what we command, our thoughts, judgments, and actions, while accepting everything else. This is how we reclaim our power. Second, the art of perception. The game-changing realization that it's not events that disturb us, but our stories about them. By reframing challenges as opportunities, we can transform our inner world. And third, the advanced techniques of Premeditatio Malorum and Amor Fati. We learn to strategically prepare for difficulty to strip it of its power. And to not just accept but to love our fate, embracing every twist and turn as necessary fuel for our fire. But remember, Stoicism isn't a magic pill. It's a lifelong practice. It's not about becoming an emotionless robot, it's about becoming more fully human. It's about learning to respond to the world with wisdom, courage, and grace. You can't control the chaotic world of 2025. You can't silence the noise or stabilize the economy. But you can, starting today, control your inner world. You can choose where to focus your energy. You can choose how to interpret your circumstances. You can choose to prepare for hardship and embrace your path. That is where your true power has always been. That is where your peace resides. So my challenge to you is this. Don't let this just be another interesting video. Choose one of these principles and live it for the next 7 days. Maybe you'll draw the circles of control. Maybe you'll start a perception journal. Or maybe you'll try the morning and evening ritual. Start small. Be consistent. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Wisdom isn't found. It's forged. It's forged in the daily practice of managing our impressions, making good choices, and accepting what we cannot change. As Epictetus said, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. Your choices are your own. Your inner world is your own. Your peace is your own to build. If this resonated with you, please give it a like, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And I would genuinely love to hear from you in the comments. Which one of these Stoic principles are you going to practice this week? Let's build a community of modern practitioners. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, and stay tranquil.